There are a lot of creeps in Hollywood. People like Dan Schneider, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, and Brian Peck, someone who seems to go under the radar time and time again. And I think it's time to expose this man because he had committed a crime on a child's show, then he went to jail for it. Shortly after, he was hired by Disney to work on another child's show. This man needs to be exposed. So let's get into it. So Brian Peck was born on July 29th, 1960, and he's known for small roles in certain movies like The Return of the Living Dead, X2, X-Men United, and Forever Strong, but he's never had a major acting role. Before we talk about the crime that put Brian in jail, I want to go back in time to 1991 and talk about some creepy footage of Brian with Leonardo DiCaprio. You guys may have seen this footage before because it has gone viral, but it's from the behind the scenes of the show Growing Pains. Actually, the executive producer of this show, Stephen Marshall, was sentenced to 7 years in jail for messing around with child like CP stuff we can't even say on YouTube. You'll see that's a theme throughout this video, that a bunch of these executives, these creeps, they're all friends and they all work together. But let's go ahead and watch this footage of Brian Peck interacting with Leonardo DiCaprio, because I think you guys can tell from this next scene that he's a creep just from how he speaks to this young boy. And yes, Brian Peck is interested in, well, I was going to say in men, but in boys. He's, I guess, a homosexual. But let's go ahead and watch this together.
And he was an on-the-set cut-up from the start.
I know we can show them. Our little drawings.
Show us the little drawings.
Oh, the little drawings. We draw drawings of each other. Brian is the famous artist, and we always make fun of each other and portray each other in silly, satirical ways.
Leo's job on this set, for some reason, is to make fun of me all day long.
Okay, so here we have Robert De Niro. Right there. See Robert?
Leo says he was raised in Compton. He likes to make us think that he's straight out of Compton. Mr. Pale as a dead fish belly and blonde hair is straight out of Compton. Leo, as you know, is the latest, hottest, hunkiest teen idol there is.
Yeah, his muscles.
Look, speaking of hunky, huh?
Okay. Leo, what's it like to be a teen idol?
Ask Kirk Cameron. I don't. Well, I see my pictures there, and it's fun seeing those, and I haven't really got the full impact of it yet, so.
So that's how Brian's acting around Leonardo with cameras. Imagine how this man behaves without cameras. And that leads into the crime I want to talk to you guys about. Or should I say crimes? Because in 2004, Brian Peck was convicted of a lewd act against a minor. The victim is not named in this case because they are a minor. So the court documents identify them as John Doe. We have speculated before who we believe it's about. I'm literally like 100% sure I know who it's about, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. There are other videos that we've talked about it before. I've already had legal issues. We don't need to get into it. But the child did not want his identity revealed for fear of having it have a negative effect on his career. So at least he did go and pursue charges. That is great because it maybe, it stopped Brian a little bit from committing these crimes. But yeah, they kept themselves private to protect themselves. It makes sense. I mean, they're a minor. But Brian had supposedly been coaching the young actor at his home when these offenses happened. And he was only arrested after the actor's parents reported him to police. There is a documentary we're going to be talking about throughout this video called An Open Secret. And in this documentary, they expose a lot in Hollywood. And one of these producers shared that this actor was on a Nickelodeon show. Just to give you guys some background, Brian Peck worked on The Amanda Show with creepy Dan Schneider, who we have talked about before on this channel. If you guys have not seen those videos, definitely go and check them out. But they worked together. And like I said, they're all friends in Hollywood. Like all the creeps are friends with each other, and that means this actor was on that show. A producer of An Open Secret was quoted saying that Brian Peck's conviction of a child actor was related to a show on Nickelodeon, and that she applauds that child for prosecuting this because it could damage their careers. That same producer said that they believe that this John Doe handled it incredibly well and managed to cover his identity at the same time. But let's talk a little bit about the crimes themselves, because there are a lot of victims of Brian's, but this one in particular got him in trouble. He was initially charged with 11 counts, and there's a lot going on here. There's some substances, there's some oral stuff. I'm probably going to have to block out a lot of these words. Penetration by a foreign object. So just to like put some stuff together, there's some drugs being involved with, which are being described as like anesthesia. So some type of drug that would make the victim like come out of it, or not, they're not fully there, pretty much drugging them and then doing things to them involving oral and penetration. It's just like this type of stuff is exactly why like I would love to just like help out with these documentaries or something, or just I just hate people like this. It's so disgusting and foul. And he pled no contest to 2 counts. So he knew he was guilty, but he finessed the system in a way, because he only really was charged with a lewd act against a child and oral copulation. The remaining counts were dismissed, and he could have gotten in a lot more trouble. Here's a scan of real life documents showing that he has these things on his record. Dang. It says, oh wow. Okay, so it says the crime was committed in 2001, but he was charged in 2004. Interesting. Oh gosh, lewd act against a child younger than 14, and then the oral thing 16. Can you imagine sending your child to work and they are harmed by someone who works there, an adult, and they don't know, what to think? It's just so disturbing, and he didn't even get that much jail time. Further breaking down some of his charges, count 2 says that Brian willfully, unlawfully, and lewdly commit a lewd and lascivious act upon and with the body of John Doe, who was 15 years old at the time, with the intent of arousing, appealing to, and gratifying the lust, passions, and desires of the defendant, who was at least 10 years older than John Doe. Count 6 says that Brian did unlawfully, being over the age of 21, participate in an act of oral copulation with John Doe, a person under the age of 16 years old. So at least we know that stuff was going on between 15 years old and 16 years old during that time. And hopefully it wasn't like years of this, but this is like disgusting. These kids go to work and they spend so much time on set and training and coaching, and this is what's actually going on. So in October 2004, he was sentenced to 16 months in jail. Comment below, how long did you think he would be going to jail for? Because I thought like at least 3 years. I want to say like 6 years sounds right to me. It just sounds so, you're stealing the innocence of this actor and you get 16 months in jail. It seems like no time. And then he returned to Hollywood and returned to the industry, working again on child shows. And when people started to find this out, they started to call it out. But he really went undetected for so long, working with children after just going to prison for a crime against a child. You guys may or may not know that Brian Peck was working on the Zack and Cody show on the Disney Channel. So after he left the Amanda show, he went over to Zack and Cody to work on that kid's show. He worked on the show back in 2006 through 2007. 2 years after being convicted. Like, it wasn't even long after. And he actually played the mirror on the show, like the mirror that London would speak into. Here's a clip from the show Zack and Cody, and you're gonna hear Brian speaking to this character, London. I wonder how she's doing nowadays. I loved London back in the day on the show. Like, London was my favorite one. Comment below if you guys watched the show, who was your favorite character? And you better not say the mirror.
Well, anyway, what are you doing here, Mirror?
It's time for you to reflect on the error of your ways.
Are you saying you don't like the extensions?
Well, truthfully, you're not fooling anyone. Anyway, I'm here to take you on a little trip. Come on, step into me.
Okay, I think you've been going a little heavy on the glass cleaner.
Trust me on this, sweetie. Have I ever steered you wrong before?
You did tell me I looked good wearing a scrunchie.
It was the 90s. They were in.
He is so weird, and he better not have done anything to Cole or Dylan Sprouse, because we love them on this channel. I was a big fan of Riverdale, like before it got weird, no offense, but I was a big fan of it in the beginning. Anyways, Brian continued to work in Hollywood. He's really had no problem getting a job. Creepy Charlie Sheen actually hired his good friend Brian Peck to work for him. If you guys want a video about Charlie Sheen, comment below, but that's a lot to unpack there. He was actually hired as a dialogue coach on 22 episodes of Charlie Sheen's comedy series, Anger Management. Brian Peck was quoted in 2012 saying that he's been working with Charlie Sheen, they're having a blast, and he adores Charlie. And of course, Charlie has like no concern for Brian Peck's past. He doesn't care. It's like normal for all of them. And that's why I'm so thankful for documentaries like An Open Secret that expose these creeps. This documentary came out back in 2015. It was directed by Amy Berg, and I want to play the trailer for you guys because I think it's an important documentary to watch. I will also link it below, and then we'll talk a little bit about his reaction to this documentary.
I think every little kid dreams about being famous and being in movies.
This is California. This is where you make it. This is where it all starts.
You'll get signed by a label. You can star on Disney Channel. You know, what kid wouldn't want that, right?
I remember you asked me if I ever did anything with a guy before. I was not interested at 12.
You're not recording this, right?
Look like an angel.
Hollywood doesn't have any system in place to protect anybody, and children are way down on that list.
Children need management just like everybody else.
Walk like an angel.
Everybody liked him.
He became part of the family.
In the beginning, it was happy, and then things started changing.
Oh, you talk like an angel.
They pick on people who they know will be victims.
You have an adult who is manipulating the child.
Look like an angel.
Getting, hired on the spot like that. That had never happened before. It was obvious that something was going on.
You fool me.
The party made me feel uncomfortable. There were lots of drugs available, and there were young teenage boys.
I remember being scared.
He just told me this is what you have to do.
A number of boys told me to point the gun at them just like that.
He said, "Do you not understand the power I have?"
You're the devil in disguise.
I remember sitting in my room and crying my eyes out.
He said, "What would you do? That happened to me."
A lot of investors completely denied that anything was going on.
Clearly, the studio didn't want an investigation.
I hate it when you tried to have me sleep in your bed and touch me.
I don't know anything about that.
There will always be a steady stream of kids who want to be famous.
We're absolutely talking about the tip of an iceberg.
It wasn't uncommon, let's put it that way.
When this documentary came out, Brian was making headlines because 5 of his victims spoke out in this series. I believe they were anonymous, but yeah, 5 victims, which is just not a good look. And the press was looking for him. The Daily Mail actually caught Brian at his home. They asked him if he had seen the documentary and if he plans to see it. And he said, "No, I haven't, and I don't plan on it," because this man has no remorse. And I think Brian is so lax about this whole situation because he knows it has little impact on his career. One producer was asked about Brian Peck's career in Hollywood and how he's invited to events and included on movies, and she said that she had no idea that he had committed these crimes. He wouldn't be the first one. There's so many. It's just so horrible. I'm not sure many people know about that. I'm sure if these events, these conventions knew, they wouldn't want that stigma attached to them. He shouldn't be allowed around children, period. But nobody's stopped him. And there's a lot of people who are like this in Hollywood, and I swear they just give each other jobs. Another person was interviewed by the Daily Mail, and they said they believe that Brian Peck relies on favors from pals in the movie business to get his roles. He was an actor, then became a dialogue coach. It's the person who gets the kids ready, makes sure their lines are together. It's the kind of job title you might give to a friend you were trying to employ. So like if you have a friend, a buddy, they need a job, like sure, you just be the dialogue coach. Like I'll add you to the company. Like who cares? We're all super rich. Like I'll just give you a salary and you can go and do what you want with these kids to get them ready for production. And as we've recognized in this video, this is a theme in Hollywood, and these creeps continue to prevail, even though California has tried to stop them. California passed the Child Performer Protection Act in 2012, and maybe this could have protected children if it was passed, 20 years before Brian committed these crimes. But still, the law doesn't stop people like him, offenders, from working as actors or crew members on set. So they still have access to children, even if they're not directly working with them. Executive producer of that documentary, An Open Secret, says that there's no regulation in Hollywood and that animals have more protection and rights on film sets than children do. I love that we have protections for animals, but we also need protections for children, okay? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, even though it was a dark topic. Here's my email if you have any other video ideas for me. Let's go ahead and open a P.O. Box package item from Barbie at Deluxe Depictions. I love the packaging, the black and the white. I went to go grab this one because it reminded me of a prison outfit and what Brian would have worn when he served his 16 months. Even though I feel like prison outfits are like, now they're just like orange, right? They're kind of like, not like the classic mime kind of look. Wow, this packaging is so nice. There's little like bejewels on the paper that's covering whatever this is. Let's go ahead and read the note. Hi, Sloan. I reached out to you on Instagram asking what size phone you have, I think on my personal account. And oh my gosh, there's an iPhone case for a 13 Pro Max case, which I'm pretty sure that's what I have. A 13 Pro Max. Wow. I also enclosed some magnets and a chapstick. Oh, so you've got a shop where she sells all of this. A few different, oh no. You've got a shop and your best friend has a shop. Cute. I will list them both below. I love your videos, especially on people like Stinky Dan Schneider. Ooh, girl, you might like this one too then. Keep informing and exposing you're doing the right thing. Feeling like you are pressured to be silent can be scary. However, you are doing the ethical and informative. You should know these are the people in control and influencing them, and hopefully opening their eyes to other sus adults in their lives. I could go off all day on this topic, but most importantly, thank you for giving me constant entertainment on all my favorite topics, from Free Britney to Kanye to Queen Wendy Williams. You are the best. Oh, thank you so much, Barbara. Wow. That is such a nice note. Thank you. Let's go ahead and check out what she sent me. The packaging is so good. So we've got, wait, what is this? Like a little scent thingy? Like a little scent. And then we've got, oh my gosh, some chapstick here that has some bling on it, and it looks like it's lavender. It smells really good. It smells like real. And then, oh my gosh, is this the phone case? We have like a phone case that has like, oh my gosh, I think one part like a little knocked off, but it has like little bears on it and candies and stuff. Wow, thank you. I think this little bear is supposed to go here, but we'll just have to super glue her back. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll list everything below. Cute, Supreme, and some like Louis Vuitton magnet. This would be really good for my metal board I have in my storage unit. When I have a home one day, I'll put it in there, but to put my little notes up on there. Oh, thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.